Alright, let's get started. We can wait for a couple people again, or we're just gonna go with it. So, what's going on, everybody? We are live from 520 Gridiron, and you're watching episode 2. I'm Coach O, and across from me is Coach Angel. This show is sponsored by Underestimated. He provided us with these shirts. Check them out. Look dope.
Still making the mediums.
Still making this.
Thank you, Izzy.
Thank you so much.
Special order.
Being a sponsor. There's his logo right there. Go hit him up. So 520 Gridiron originally was designed to be a show and platform for our Tucson Raiders youth football organization, but we would also branch out and highlight kids and coaching staff and athletic training programs throughout the surrounding organizations, and also at the high school level. This is all about getting these athletes some shine. More importantly, to listen to lessons and be taught to believe in themselves and that anything is possible. Which leads me into our guest we have here today. Our first guest here is known in the athletic community for cultivating champions. He's an entrepreneur, professional bull rider. He's well versed in the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where he placed 3rd in the world in 2015. Track and field, baseball, basketball. He played football for Sunnyside High School during the years considered a dynasty. A real multi-sport athlete. You name it, he's done it. He's the owner at Jet Sports Training here in Tucson. He is a product of the South Side, and in my humble opinion, one tough SOB. Introducing Bobby the Jet Rodriguez.
The Jet, welcome to the show. What's happening, Bob?
All right. And next to him is a strong educational professional with a bachelor's in exercise science, focused in physical education, teaching and coaching from the University of Arizona. He spent 32 years as a high school coach. He attended Pima Community College, Northern Arizona University. A former Blue Devil himself, a 3-year starter wide receiver who stacked up 158 receptions, earning All-City, All-State, Arizona Super 11, and West Coast All-America awards. His senior year, he had 64 catches, 877 yards, and 11 touchdowns. He showed real grit on the gridiron. Sunnyside football varsity head coach, Glenn Posey.
That's a hell of a damn resume.
Hey, we're trying to get organized here on the show.
I'm screwing on further and further. Hey, that's a hell of a resume. All coming out of the south side of Tucson.
Yeah.
Right there, man.
Which is exactly why I wanted to have these guys. I was so excited to do this show, and I wanted these guys to be on here because that's all I keep hearing about, and I see what they do, and it's so motivational for me. And I respect them a lot, and I'm working with Coach Posey at the school, doing photos and things like that, and been around him and seeing what he's been doing, and I like what I hear, and I like what he says to the boys in the locker room and things like that. So my youngest goes to Sunnyside. He's a band member. I wish he played sports, but
band's good too.
Yeah. So
band's good too.
That's all you dream about. When your kid gets older, you can't wait for them to get in football. I know you waited, right?
Hey, Bobby's counting it down. Bobby's like,
the clock's on, Bob.
Yeah, he's like 4 years. He goes 4 years, 23 days, 16 hours.
All right, but when they don't go that way, you just support them in any way that you can, anyway. So.
Yeah.
The band scholarship's a lot easier than the football scholarship.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, man. So how are things over there at Jet, Bob?
They're good.
What do you guys got going down right now?
So the past couple weeks we've been getting the ball rolling as far as classes with the adults and the kids. So it feels good to be back. A lot of the youth and high school kids, getting back to form. So I'm excited to get these kids from youth football, baseball, basketball, all different sports are coming back, and like I said, it almost feels normal, but not quite yet.
Yeah. I seen you working with some college players out there. How are they doing? You got the U of A and ASU working in the same room.
Yeah.
How does that work out? You can barely keep them in the tailgate away from each other.
I've done ASU football and U of A football together one time, and for the most part, everybody knows each other. Like, it's at first it was like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? And I was like, hey, man, we're just gonna, let's get this over with. Let's get our work in. Let's get out. But once the workout started going, I mean, there's no beef. It's between the lines. They strap it on, and that's where it's really.
So you gave the U of A guys, being alumni from U of A, you gave them the good workout, and you give or even.
I'm in contact with both. I'm in contact with both.
Yeah.
Both programs, so I make sure they both get their work.
Heck yeah.
I was happy to see you with Jeff Cotton because I coached him at Pima. He was my first year at Pima. He was my stud receiver. And that's a man's man.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a grown-ass man playing wide out. He was fun to coach.
Yeah. Jeff, for those that don't know, he went to Pima, played under Coach Posey at Pima, then transferred to the University of Idaho, and he was signed as a free agent to the Los Angeles Chargers. He's been working out with me for the past few months, and when I say somebody has a motor, he has a motor. Like he's a pro, man. You could just tell this guy belongs in the NFL just based off his work ethic. Dude is never late. He's never missed a workout. He never asks how many more sets or how much more time. He just puts his hard hat on and he just gets to work.
Yeah. And I think later in this interview, I will kind of want to dig into more of that. What makes the person dig deep like that? You know what I mean? You run through a lot of athletes, and I think you can probably gauge and see what they feel inside. You know what I mean? What they're thinking about that makes them motivated. You know what I mean? So you can kind of relay that to whoever's out there watching what it actually takes to be that kind of a person, how their character is, what kind of heart do they have, you know what I mean? You've gone through it yourself. You know, we'd like to get a little bit of insight on how you were feeling during your high school years at Sunnyside, during that dynasty where you guys were just killing it, and what was going through your mind. How were the coaches with you there? How did they treat you? Were you guys a family? Did you guys spend a lot of time together? Did you guys bond? Was that a motivating factor for you to be the kind of man who you are today?
It definitely, during that era, I started at Sunnyside when I was a sophomore, and there was no put my arm around you type of stuff.
Go ahead.
Posey interview.
Coach
Tough
Posey and Coach Sanchez. They really, I was the youngest on the team at the time and the smallest. I think I started strong safety. I still remember at 127 pounds, and they knew that I was light, but it was like, look, you're gonna play like you weigh 227, so get it done or GTFO. Next man up. If you can't, if it's too much for you, get out. And I just remember getting to practice super early, and it was no motivation. And it's just something that Coach Sanchez and the staff instilled. It was you had to have your mind right. It was a mindset before every practice, every day in the weight room. You couldn't have a day off, a playoff, or else you were going to hear it either from him, Coach Sanchez, or anybody from the staff. It was zero room for error, and like I said, it's a mindset that was instilled in me at a young age. I was probably about 15 years old, and it stuck with me. But I don't really believe in motivation. I don't really like motivation. More discipline and mindset is what I like to.
So do you think it was the coaches that were just constantly beating it into your head, like you need to get this done or do this, that triggered you to want to do it for yourself?
Well, I got to Sunnyside in 2003, and the culture had already been laid down. They had already won one state title and been two state titles, and been to some other ones. And coming in as a freshman, I knew like, hey, this is not just a school where you just, hey, I want to play football. It's like, it's a full-time job. Like, you have to have it together day in or day out, or like I said, you're going to get replaced.
The standard of the program had been established, and championship level football was the only thing that was acceptable. And if you couldn't meet that standard, which you were going to be judged by the guys that were before him and who were the all-state, all-city, state player of the year type kids, that's what you were measured by.
Right.
So if you couldn't meet that standard, you weren't good enough. So we had the luxury of having some really great kids, and Bob was another kid that came along as part of the family that bought into the program and did his very best to meet that standard on a regular basis. And he had, all kids have a couple screw-ups. The best lesson that Bob ever learned about being on time is we were going to a passing tournament Memorial Weekend up in Phoenix, and we said we're leaving at
5 a.m.
5 a.m. and we got in the vans. We only took a select. We didn't even take all of our dudes. We only took our studs.
14 kids.
We were going to go up there and just compete with our best dudes. We didn't want to worry about backups. We just wanted our dudes, right? So we get in the vans. We're ready to go. 2 guys are missing, him and his buddy. So Sanchez says, "Let's go." So we're pulling out the gates.
He said it just like that.
He said, "Let's go." We're pulling out the gates. We tried calling us before cell phones. You're calling the house phone, right?
Yeah.
There's no answer. So we go. We're leaving. They're rolling up as we are exiting the gate at Sunnyside. Sanchez just flips them off, and he says, "Keep going."
I still remember looking at my clock, at my watch, and it said 5:07. And he said, "We're leaving at 5." And yeah, he flipped us off and he says,
And we just kept going.
Yeah.
And we left them at home.
and I think they, I don't know what happened. I think they still won. And when he came back to school, he's like, "Hey, I don't even need you. If you want to stay."
Yeah.
And it was just like, from then on, I've been paranoid of
Yeah.
being late for the rest of my life. Because he left me. I mean, I thought he'd wait for me. And shoot,
We see that a lot when we take, like, when the Tucson Raiders, we take our kids to Jet over there with Bobby and the guys, Zach and those fellas. We take them over there, and you can see that there. You can see that you gotta be punctual. You have to be disciplined, or you don't need to be there. You either want to put the work in or you don't. And my boys go over there, my 12U Raiders and our other division on the Raiders, we go and they come back with a different mindset. We can just tell them, don't make us call Bobby. Don't make us call Coach Zach. Because, and they're like, no, we got it, Coach, we got it. Let's go, all right, man, let's go. So you can see that type of work ethic in our boys already.
Yeah.
So that's
something I learned from being at Sunnyside is every practice, like I said, it was like life or death. But one thing I learned from Sunnyside football that I took to business is there was a script every day that the coaches had.
Yeah.
And I take the same, the same mentality, same script every session. So I always have a script, and it's punctual, like you said, on time. Like, we have other coaches on there. I'm like, hey man, this stuff's taking too long. Let's go. Let's move on. So we really utilize 60 minutes and get the best out of every 60 minutes. We're not going to go 62 minutes, 65. We're going to go 60 minutes, and we're going to stay punctual on it. So that's something I learned big time in high school.
Sorry, everybody, we didn't start right at 3.
We're
We're at 3:01. I remember this.
Hey,
Right here we're going. No
Orlando.
matter what, we're gonna start right on time.
Yo, salap, Orlando. But yeah,
Burpees going here.
how things looking at Sunnyside this year, Coach? You got a young group coming in still.
Yeah, we were, that term green, green trees, young and all that. Well, we were lime green last year because we started 3 freshmen and 8 sophomores, and our old guys had to try to hold it down and carry a bunch of weight behind them. But it was a great experience for me coming back to Sunnyside. 3 years at Pima, I was exposed to some really good football at the national level, competing against national champions, and I had to step my game up and get better. Come back to Sunnyside, and we're gonna get it reestablished. We had to get the weight room going again, and that was the one thing that was probably lacking the most. And the first year we only had 6 months, so we got done what we could in 6 months, and I thought we made great progress. We didn't get where we needed to get to state championship level football. So this is that's just the standard of which we're going to be measured by. So I thought we did a good job of getting back. We had good kids putting in good work. But at the end of the day, the standard for the program was not high enough. So this past off season, Bob helped join, brought Coach Felix with them. They did some of the speed work for me, and they did some really good stuff. And our weight room really took off. And it was from our pre-max out, our postseason max out to set our standards where we were to set our workouts. our kids on average gain 25 to 30 pounds per lift in 3 months.
Yeah.
And then right before the pandemic kicked in, we had gone up another 25 to 30 pounds on that second cycle. So we were skyrocketing in the right direction. Everybody got the brakes pumped right now, but I feel really good about the attitude and the work ethic of our kids, and we're trying to instill all those things that we were talking about. Our buy-in has been 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't have to chase them down anymore. It's now I can hold them accountable to the highest degree. Before we was just trying to get them there.
Yeah.
And so now that we've got them there, and now we're getting the standards higher again, it's been really fun. It's a great process, especially with all these young bucks.
Uh-huh.
You're seeing them making personal bests constantly on a daily. The older guys, it's harder.
Yeah.
When you already squat 600 pounds, it's hard to go up.
Yeah.
But when a guy benches presses 135 and he gets to 175, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
When he hits 200, it's a big deal. So we're getting a lot of milestones out of our kids. So it's fun.
Yeah, hey, what do you? We talk about weight rooms, and I hear a lot about hitting the weights and making sure they're starting younger at the freshman level. What is a good age so the kids can start lifting? At least getting the
4 years old.
right.
Like in Russia, this is not joking, but in realistic, you don't want to be doing heavy powerlifting and back squatting and deadlifting until 13, 14 years old. I would be doing full range of motion, technique, lightweight, fast bar, teaching core exercises, but teaching the fundamentals.
Yeah.
You could do reps of 10 correctly, you can gain a ton of strength, but now you're not stressing the back, the spinal cord, and all those things at the younger age that you don't want to do. So when they get to 13, 14, okay, now let's get to work. But up to that point, I would be doing all the speed work. I would be at Bob's place, having my kid do that, and he's going to teach them how to do things properly. That's the biggest thing. It blows my mind that a high school football player will come to us and doesn't know how to run properly.
Yeah.
And that happens every single year. So teaching the kids how to move, range of motion, how to stretch, how to warm up, how to work out, that's so beneficial for the kids.
Yeah.
How do you feel? You just talked about that right now. A lot of the kids that come up to high school level have already played youth football. How many do you get that don't and just want to give football a try?
In our community, you go back pre-2000s, our community was a baseball community.
Yeah.
There was baseball and soccer. Our kids didn't play football. They didn't really like football, but they kind of played because it was something to do in the off season. And then once we got the standards of the program and established and changed the culture, and we became a football community, now our kids are better developed, and they played for the Rams, the Raiders, the Redskins. It's gotten a lot better for us.
Yeah.
The 2000s were nice when we had whole groups come to us, and I think that was probably the key ingredient to winning our first state championship. Vic and Philo and all those boys played together from day one, and they had some great coaches, Coach Smith, Xavier, and those guys, Coach Perkins, and those guys helped the Rams.
Yeah.
They did a great job preparing those boys. They came to us. We just had to get them strong in the weight room.
Yeah.
They were good football players. So a lot of times we're developing the whole thing.
Yeah.
They don't have the football background, they don't have the weight room background, they don't know how to run. So we're developing the athlete. And so we took great pride in Sanch did a great job of, our job is to establish and teach them how to become athletes. Everything we do, I don't care what sport you go to, we're going to make you better.
Yeah.
If you want to go play baseball, if you're in our football program, you'll be a better baseball player. If you were a basketball player, you'd be a better basketball player. If you're a wrestler, you'd be a better wrestler. What we do, that develops the athlete, the whole athlete. So we go from the ground up, the mentality, the work ethic, the mindset, all those things that we get to work on, make kids better athletes. And of course, that makes our football program better. We've been, we're not the South Points of the world. We don't get 5-star guys, you know what I mean? I've coached 31 years. I've had 8 D1 football players in Sunnyside that whole time. 8. They had 8 on last year's team, didn't win a state championship. And that boggles my mind. How can you not win a state championship with 2 5-star D1 football players and 4 or 5 more D1 football players on a high school football team and not win a state championship? There's some questions to be asked there. But, we have taken great pride in 2001 we had one D1 football player.
Yeah.
In 2003 we had one Division I football player. In 2006 we had one Division I football player. And we've won multiple state championships, been in the game 4 times, and been lucky if we had one Division I football player on that team.
How are the youth players going up to high school? How are they taking it? How are they taking to it? I know we've had our 13U program has been lights out. Whether they win a city championship or
The comments.
what is it?
Adrian.
No, yeah,
That
the 13 Raiders pipeline. And it's a known fact. I mean, if somebody disagrees with that, come talk to us. Because the past 3 years, it's been a juggernaut. I mean, whether they win the city championship or win it, these boys are developing. The way we see it, they're developing and they're able to compete. For a spot, at least have a shot at it. To go into varsity, some do, some don't. But how are us youth coaches of Tucson? How are we doing? Honestly, what do we need to do to be better youth coaches to help the kids develop in high school level?
Our winning is a great caveat to what happens. Like it makes it's all feel good, right?
Yeah.
The laying the foundation for the kids, the accountability at practice. The thing that happens in high school, there's a couple of things. One, hormones.
Yeah.
Girls, right?
Yeah.
And distractions. So high school football's 6 days a week.
Yeah.
We practice 5 days, we play 1 day, we come in on Saturdays, we're either watching film, like our freshmen practice on Saturdays. That is shocking to a lot of kids.
Yeah.
You mean I gotta be there every day because they want to come like every other day,
Yeah.
which is that's the normal Pop Warner schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday play on Saturdays. Well, Tuesday and Thursday at Sunnyside, you still got practice, or we play the games for the freshmen on Thursdays. So it's very the standards, the weight room. A kid who played Pop Warner, and you could have been a big kid, and you could dominate, and you never had to work that hard.
Yeah.
And you get to high school, now all of a sudden we're saying you're going to squat 500 pounds. You're not just going to go through the motions. We're going to watch every rep. We're going to talk to you. We're going to be on you. And a lot of people don't like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, the exit, they just take the exit and don't come back.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. And we have to set those standards that high, because if we want to compete and play the level of football we want to play. So how do you make a kid when, as soon as they leave you, what can you really do? I mean, when they're family and your niece or your nephew, you get to go talk to them, you can go have dinner with them. But those players that leave your program, they go to a high school, you don't know what's really going on in that weight room.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're really doing. And that's, a lot of times it's just they fall apart in the weight room, they fall apart in the classroom.
Yeah.
And between the two of those standards of you got to be eligible, you got to be on time, you got to be there every day, they just fall apart. And that's not to blame you guys. That's that's societal and parents and those issues. I feel like our kids come to us with good football knowledge, good football skills. Like little Dion, I haven't had to do much coaching to Dion in the sense of how to throw a football. His technique is as good as I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In coaching, I've been coaching quarterbacks for 30 plus years. He might be the best technical quarterback I've ever coached, and I haven't said one thing to him.
Yeah.
I said, "Who taught you how to throw?" He said, "My dad." I said, "He did a hell of a job."
He did a damn yes.
He's a natural ball thrower.
One of the things I seen his dad, Dion started at the Rams, came to us at the Raiders for his last 2 or 3 years. Last 3 years, and he transformed a lot. And one thing I can say is I would see his dad out there working with him even on off days.
Right.
Quiet kid. You mentioned something. Okay, cool. He just never he's just quiet, but you see him on that field. That's a leader. That's a soldier right there. He's doing his thing. So he was what? First team all region?
Yeah, he was second team. The
Second team all region.
The best thing about Dion is he takes coaching still, and which is he throws the ball well, and he made a lot of mistakes. He was a freshman. He's a knucklehead at times. He was trying to jam that fade when he should have never thrown that ball. He threw a bunch of those he should have never done.
Yeah.
But that was football IQ, the fact that he's only 5'4", can't see real good. He had a 6'5" lineman in front of him. I said, hey, did you see the safety? He said, no. And I go, okay. At least he's honest with me.
Yeah.
He didn't see him because Emmanuel was standing up and he couldn't see him. But, you know, the kid has the right attributes.
Yeah.
His football IQ gone up. And like when we went from all the workouts in December, January, February, and we started throwing the ball on the football field again,
Yes.
you know, Dion was 5'4", 126 last year, Bob. So, you know what I mean? He was the same size as you. He was a freshman playing varsity football, and I would tell him, you don't run the ball, dude. That's Martin's job.
Yeah.
Your job is to not get killed and come back and call the next play. So
Come on here, Martin.
Here's a Martin.
And we have an open set, everybody. If you don't know,
Yeah.
we got an audience over here. We're bringing in Martin.
Martin's job was to
Yeah.
run the ball. He did a heck of a job for us. I mean, he's the kind of guy that makes your coaching job easier. We didn't have our stuff together in the O-line last year. We were young, playing all those puppies, and then because of injuries, we started 6 centers last year.
Man,
6.
That's crazy.
6 centers, and there was a recycle, get fired, recycle, get fired. It was crazy.
My God.
But we went to a bunch of dudes, and I was really proud of the development of Dion's mental capacity. We went to the last passing league tournament in February. Chris Kidney helped me organize the passing tournaments in the January, February, and my goal was so our kids could just get reps. I have a young team. I want my guys to get reps.
Yes.
So the last passing league tournament we went to, I told Dion, I'm taking the day off. You're calling all the plays. I didn't call one single play the whole day. The only time I yelled at him one time, he missed a wide open guy, and I whistled at him and I said, run it again.
Yeah.
And he ran the same play, threw a touchdown, the next play, and I called one play the whole day. And we went undefeated for the day, and a 14-year-old boy called the entire offense for the whole day. And that's what I'm looking for, is his brain to develop. He threw the right ball for the right reasons. What did you see? What did the safety do? And he could snap those answers off.
I think going from the youth football to the high school programs, a program like Sunnyside or any program that wants to win, it's becoming a student of the game. Because I remember I played 1 year of youth football in the 8th grade, and it was just kind of like, hey, give the ball to Bobby and just run. So that didn't work. That didn't work at Sunnyside.
Hence, Bobby the Jet.
That's where the name
I
comes
asked you about
from.
that. How'd you get that name?
He had his field players.
It was at Sunnyside. They gave you that name.
Yeah.
But when you get to Sunnyside, it's more than just being fast or being that. Yeah, I remember like we used to have those scouting reports, and it was like you have to study this report, and because the coaches are going to ask you randomly, hey, what do they do on 3rd down once they pass the 50 on the right hash? And if you're like, you're going to get your head sawed off right there.
Yeah.
So at lunchtime, we'd get our lunch. There was no hanging out with friends. We're going to the football room and we're watching film. So that was a big change, like becoming a student of the game. It's just not like, hey, I'm on the football team type stuff. It's like I can't associate myself like the normal kid on campus because we're trying to win here. If you just want to play football, you need to find. You guys would say, you just find another school.
Go down the street.
And that's one thing that I'm doing on my part as a youth coach is this year my team, my players, they had to do a book report, okay, 250 page minimum before they can step on any kind of training field, anything. Write a book report of it, and they had to turn it in at a certain date. Sometimes people look at it as like, what are you doing? They're just here to play football. And it's like, well, I'm not here just to coach them for 1 year. I don't want them to play football for 1 year. They got 2 more years to get to high school. And what I see a lot is I go sometimes to the high school games like, why aren't you playing? Well, this class, no, dude, that's on you, bro. That's your fault, you know. And another question is like, why are they gonna do a book report? Like, I was like, you'll find out. So when the due date came, I had a couple of kids that didn't turn in their book report. So I'm like, why should I give them a playbook if they're gonna do that? They're not gonna read it. this was a test to show me who's gonna actually do the work.
Investor. Who's invested?
Who's invested, and you know, so that is something that I started doing and try to get the academic part of this stuff getting going. And I mean, one of the guys, I mean, like Martin Arbizu right here. He's class of 2020, just graduated Sunnyside.
And my cousin, everybody. That's about right.
Yeah, and he goes out there and he works with my boys. He trains my boys on the things, and I mean, this kid is great. What was your GPA this year, Martin?
3.2.
3.2. Martin, he goes out there, and my motto on that field is lead by example. So everything he does, everything he has to be full speed. Everything, the way he carries himself has to be top notch, in front of the boys. And I mean, with his hard work and his parents backing him, and the school, Sunnyside High School, what they've done with him, and Jet Sports, because he's been at Jet Sports dedicated to that stuff, which is great. He's going to be going to Monterey Peninsula College in Northern California. He's going to be leaving in a couple weeks, Martin.
Yes, sir.
He's going to be, man, and that's great. That's what we want to see. That's what we kind of want to have on this show is be able to get these kids out there and show them some love. Show them some love. You see him on the street, you know who he is.
And here's the thing, tuition is a lot. And so we started a GoFundMe page for Martin to help alleviate some of the costs for going to high school. So I would throw that. I'll throw a post out there, his link to the GoFundMe. If anybody could help with anything, that'd be great. I'm going to do some donations as soon as we get done here. But go check out Martin. He's a hell of an athlete. He's worked with Bobby. And that's another point, man. A lot of these kids are getting trained by Bobby, man. They're coming out dope athletes, man. I can see it, man. Like
it's a big transformation.
I don't know if it's just
maturity.
It's not enough just to be in high school now. Now you just gotta go see Bobby. You gotta go see Bobby.
You gotta do the work at school too. I agree, but it's just, for instance, at Sunnyside, you got so many kids. There's gonna be some gaps because you got to run through. How many kids a day?
50 to 100.
50 to 100 kids. So sometimes there's a kid that he needs some mobility work or some
individual attention.
Yeah, he needs that individualized attention. So that's where where I come in and the team at Jet. That's what they specialize at. So
going back to your point on teaching kids, and this is probably the number one failure I would say in most programs is the ability to watch film. Kids watch football games for entertainment. We want them to watch the first step. We want you to watch, okay, the ball's in this hash, what's the front, how many safeties, where's the linebacker line, where's the three technique. We spend, like Dion last year, he didn't know what a three technique was. He wasn't used to that. So, hey, we're running inside zone to the three technique, and we go the first game, and if our center or our running back didn't tell Dion, he didn't make the check, we ran the play bad. And we were running into bad looks a couple times, and I'm yelling at this guy because he's the senior. I'm yelling at Harvey. I'm not yelling at the freshman. I'm yelling at the old guys. And I'm saying, hey, you guys got to change that. You got to get that play check opposite. And they're like, oh, yeah, because they weren't used to that. That was our system. That's how we do it. But that's learning the game at the next level, the student of the game, watching film, putting in work. They think watching film is like, I'm going to put on the game and it's supposed to entertain me. No, what can I learn about my opponent? How can I learn the DNA of how they do it? So you play 9-10 games in the season, you might see a 40 front 7 games. But that 40 front might be a 3-3, it might be a 3-2, it might be a 3-1, it might be a 13. And they might stack the linebackers, they might offset the linebackers, they play a 4-2 with a back 2 safeties high, or they play 1 safety high and they bring the backer down in a 4-4 look. Your quarterback needs to know that. Your offensive line need to know if you get a 3-by-1 into the boundary, you're probably going to get the blitz off the backside guy. Those are things that the football generalities and the philosophies that if you watch the game on Sunday and you watch the game on Saturday as a football guy, not as a fan, that you can pick up stuff. You listen to the Chuck Ceases of the world when they're commentating on the game and why things are happening. You can learn more football than just watching the game and looking at the cheerleaders and stuff. That's where we taught those boys. They gave up their lunches every single day during the football season so they could watch 20 more minutes of film. because our day is compact and our day is long, and we got to try to get as much work in as possible. But those 20 minutes allow him to identify the play, to get one step faster, to make that 3rd and 1. They don't convert it. They have to punt. We get the ball back, and those plays that you get to make because you did the work. That's when you become championship level teams.
And this man, like, I watch film. I watch not film, but I watch football now because I see it at a different point. Because he is a main factor of watching film, breaking down, dissecting, whatnot. For instance, you got your local Channel 9 News player of the game, whatever. You come back Saturday morning with Posey, and he says, "Have you watched the film on you last night?" And you're walking in there like, "Yo, man, I got player of the game last night." And you get that laser pointer, like, "Look at this, and look at that, and look at this," and it's like, oh man. So you forgot about your accolades because he knows how to dissect and like I said, we'd give up our lunches, and I just remember watching so much film my last year at Sunnyside. Honestly, I felt like I was playing like on a high because I knew everything that the other team was going to do because we'd broken down so much film, watched hours and hours and hours of film, and I think that's so important, like for young kids to see, because like you said, people watch film like, hey, look at my huddle, and it just shows the good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw a post that you had posted from back in the day. You did a Throwback Thursday or something like that, and you had said something like, "We just beat the hell out of this team," and it was like an embarrassment to them because you knew what the hell to do. You know what I mean? Like you just know how to kick it in gear and beat the hell out of a team.
It's just
it takes a lot more than just showing up.
Yeah,
for a 2-hour practice.
It's like taking that limitless pill. You just freaking know everything. You know what I mean? Put the work in, so when it comes game time, you know what to do.
Because I remember this too, and Coach Posey and Coach Hodgson say, your aunts, your nana, your uncles, your cousins are gonna say you're the best, and this and that, and
They're gonna love you no matter what.
they're gonna love you no matter what, and they're not gonna tell you need to get better. And I remember this man specifically used to tell me like, excuse my language, but he's like, "You ain't done shit yet. We got to get better." And it was like, hey.
Well, your dad doesn't know that you didn't fill on the backside B gap on inside zone. You might have made the tackle, but you were supposed to be there, and the guy cut it back to where you were supposed to be. And if you would have done your job originally, that would have been a 0-yard play. But you made a tackle at 15 yards, and everybody loves you because you made the tackle. Well, I'm pissed off because you should have been filling the B gap on the backside of the inside zone play as a safety, and you didn't get there. What the hell? You know what I mean?
I don't care what Paul Sakala said. You messed up.
No, it was like that, man. And I think if kids learn that at a young age to take that constructive criticism, it helps the high school coaches get things rolling, because like I said, most kids don't hear that from their youth football coaches. It's like, hey, you scored X amount of touchdowns last night, or X amount of tackles, where you need to really break it down and say, hey, this is the reality of things.
A lot of people see it nowadays, and like I said, I'm speaking from a youth football. A lot of times the parents mistake that constructive criticism for you talking down on a kid or belittling a kid. You kind of got to get over that. This is, it's not just football. It's just everything in life. I mean, whatever you do, if you're going to be a golfer, well, damn, your club face is open. Yeah. Close your damn club face. We
just say it a little bit more passionately in football.
With more love.
Golf clap versus football. We use a couple of expletives.
Yeah, but these kids now, sometimes they're too pampered, and they have to be able to take that constructive criticism and correct their mistakes.
I agree with you.
We got we have a kid, Diego Rivera, that came through our program now too.
He was one of our freshman babies that started for us.
Yeah, he was another freshman. That's what
he did. And
another cousin of mine.
And the realities, like Diego is a heck of an athlete, but we put him in a position that probably didn't fit his development yet. He needed to probably put his hand in the dirt and play close to the line of scrimmage, because that's what he's best at. Yeah. But we saw a 6'3" safety, and we got all excited. So I thought we misplayed him last year, but he did a great job of being coachable, playing hard, playing physical at the point of attack. He just wasn't strong enough. He was a freshman.
He's getting there, though.
And he's That's what the weight room's for.
That's it.
And that body develops. And I told our D coordinator, that boy needs to get closer to the line of scrimmage because he's going to be he's going to be a grown-ass man. And in these next couple of years, we're going to move him down towards the box. We're going to give him the outside linebacker type kid because we run the 30 defense. So he's going to be a closer to the line of scrimmage guy, and we're going to help him be more successful. And that was we never try to put a square peg through a round hole. But last year I thought we did that to Diego. So we're going to do a better job this year, get our kids in the right positions, and we're just super excited about the development of the program, where we were to where we are now, and please let this stuff be over with. Can we get back to real normal football?
Come on,
I'm tired of fishing.
Lysol, hopefully it sponsors all of Tucson. We can be good with this stuff. But Martina, coming out of high school, doing your 4 years in high school at Sunnyside, what would you tell the youth right now watching? What would you tell them? What they need to do? How what you got to do to succeed in high school? Because what was the thing that I always tell you when I see you? What was the thing I always tell you?
Get that scholarship.
I'm gonna get that scholarship.
That's definitely it too. I think these kids really need to have a will to want to go somewhere with it. Like for me, I was on varsity for 4 years, but in reality, for college didn't hit me till like my junior year.
Yeah.
And if that would have hit me my freshman year, there's no telling where I would be right now.
Yeah.
If I was working as hard as I was my junior year and my freshman year, it'd be a totally different story.
Yeah.
That's really it. You guys, they need to want a will to go somewhere with it.
Yeah. Do you think if you would have had like Jet Sports or any workout program when you started as a freshman, do you think that would have benefited you a little bit more?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Man, I come out workouts with Bobby barely even walking some days. When we first started, I remember like it was yesterday. We were out there on the track, Sunnyside track, every day at 7.
Yeah.
We didn't get out of there till like 9:30, 10. It was blazing hot outside. He had us doing workouts on the track.
Yeah.
Just hard work.
Yeah.
And I remember Bobby telling me too, everything that's done in the dark will soon come to light. So that's one thing that I really try to base everything off of when I work out.
Yeah.
And that's what made me the kind of athlete that I am today.
And that's great. Like one of the things with Martin, I coach his little brother, little Arvizu, right there, Angel. He has a great work ethic, also. But seeing Martin go through everything, and the workouts that he does, he goes and takes it to our boys. He goes and takes it to our boys and shows our boys. So he's living through our motto is to lead by example. Lead by example, don't do dumb things, take care of yourself, respect everybody, give everyone respect. If they don't respect you, and that's their problem, and just move on forward from that and keep working towards your goal, and seeing you guys that last year, at going to those games, it made me proud. Like I'm proud of you. You're doing a damn good job out there, and you set the bar. You set the bar for these young kids out there, and you keep giving back to your community. You got guys that go to college and they never come back. They never come back to see these kids, or come back like Bobby comes back, like Coach Posey comes back. He coached 31 years. He's been coaching it, So that's one thing that we have to continue to do to make our youth program, transfer over to high school and make it a successful situation here,
Martin was a perfect example. Like when I got there, they hadn't had the weight program that we run. So once we taught it to Martin, then I asked those guys, once you get it, now you got to pass it on to somebody. So what was given to you as a gift, you got to pass on to somebody. So in the program, we expect the older guys to help the new guys that come in and help them transition, to fill in those little questions that they're scared to ask the mean coach and stuff like that. But those guys can help. They go there, help them with the technique. They do demonstrations. They work with the guy. They make them feel comfortable in the weight room so that we can get those kids developed faster, sooner. So, and that's the standard of our program. We talk about the 1,000-pound club. We want to put specific numbers. We want them to meet those numbers, and we try to reward them. We give them shirts based on what they accomplish. When I got there, when I came back to Sunnyside, we did our first test. We had like 6 guys in the 1,000-pound club.
Jeez.
And then after 6 months, we had 16 in the 1,000-pound club. And then this past spring when we tested, we had over 30 guys in the 1,000-pound club. So that's the standard of the program. And you want those guys, 1,000 pounds is we use that as those are functional high school football players. 1,100 pounds, you're a little bit better. 1,200 pounds, you're a strong dude. 1,300 pounds, you're a man's man. And then we got one of our guards. He squatted 600 plus pounds. He's going to be up in the 1,400 pound range.
Yeah.
So I know that he can go handle his business. I don't care how big that guy is across from him. I don't care how fast that guy. My guy can go do some work because he's put the time in the weight room, and that's what you're trying to get that work ethic taught.
Yeah.
We ain't going to be the fastest guys ever, but we can be the toughest guys. And we can win with toughness. You know, we can beat speed because we can beat them up. That's
Bobby was a hell of a tough guy.
I think I got this 1,000-pound thing wrong. You meant weightlifting. I'm at the 300-pound mark, so all right, reverse it. It's weightlifting.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you, Bobby. I need to set up an appointment, Bob.
Yeah, let's get
But
it.
that-
I need to set it.
I can honestly say that you win the championships in the off season in the weight room because I remember we got after it, and then just working with kids nowadays, the off season is where you create the separation and the distance, and it's there.
But you talked about earlier that like the family atmosphere.
Yeah.
Our guys were so competitive. His senior year, they were good their junior year, but we got our butts kicked in a couple big games.
Yeah.
And those lessons that we learned in those games, me for one, I'll never forget this because we had been winning state championships. We had been in championships games. We played Basha in week 2 or 3, and we lost the game, like 35-28. It was a barn burner. We gave up some touchdowns.
Yeah.
And
Check out the screen, guys. Check out the screen.
Look at
Back in the
Posey's hair. Look
day.
at Posey's hairdo.
Yeah. They had the mullet going. He had that mullet.
Look at Posey's hair.
Look at that. Where Bobby at? Where you at, Bob?
Far right.
Yeah, Bob on top.
Bob's up there.
On top, he's the
Yeah.
shortest one.
Yeah.
But
Snuck my way up there.
we lost the game, and we were playing Basha, and he was a really good coach. And I read the article. I'd always read the articles the next day. And Phoenix paper, they wrote it up, and it was the big game of the week. And they said we treated it like it was the state championship week, and we treated it like it was a normal game. And I said they outcoached us, and they outprepared us. So we can't let that happen. And that was during the state. We went to the state championship game that year. But that mentality that because you're a high standard program and you've won a lot of games, they circled you on the calendar. They want to beat you. Well, then the next year we played them in one of the best games, slobber knocker, 8-6, high scoring game. We won the game on the last drive of the game. We were losing 6-2 the whole game, and we won the last drive of the game. But the toughness and the mentality. But those guys in the off season were so competitive. Pat Medina, Zach Holmes, Marcus, Terrell, Diego, Rocky, Manny.
Yeah.
Those guys would come in the weight room, and it was like, I'm going to kick your ass. No, I'm going to kick your ass. Bobby would do 3, so Marcus would do 4. Then Pat would put on 5 pounds, and he would do 3. And then Jose Herrera would come in and whoop everybody's butt. He was a monster. But those guys, they took it. So we go to the track, and we would race. We were conditioning. They were racing.
Yeah.
And they were trying to kick each other's butt. And if you weren't fast enough, they'd kick you out of the line and make you go to the back. And it was the standard of the program was set by the players because the blood, sweat, and tears was coming from them.
Yeah.
And they were holding each other accountable, and they were making each other work hard. Our job got easier as the year went on.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to win a state championship, and it's hard. You know what I mean? And but it's a lot of fun to coach those types of kids. You know, that loss in the 2006 state championship game is probably the worst loss I've ever had. I would have rather got my ass kicked in the first round than playoffs. But the run was great, and you know, I'll never forget like James Laverty with the trophy crying. Our manager had Down syndrome, and he's laying on the trophy crying because we got second place. He was devastated. And he was just the damn football manager, but it was a tough loss to look at the kids in the locker room. You know, we're playing in the Cardinal Stadium when it just opened up. It was a great experience, but a horrible experience.
Yeah. What would you guys as a trainer, as a head coach, what would you tell parents out there about the off-season training? Because sometimes you see parents they go when it's convenient for them. You know, some places, you know, but what would you tell them? Because sometimes they say, oh, it's just youth football, like, you know. What would you say about the work ethic and stuff like that? Like your training,
You're either getting better or you're getting worse.
Yeah.
You don't stay the same. So if if somebody else is doing more than you,
Yeah.
go to Phoenix and see how they work,
Yeah.
and see what they charge. In high school football, they're charging them guys $400 or $500 per session, June and July, mandatory.
Yeah.
And they're paying. So like what we do for free at Sunnyside, they get paid up in Phoenix. Bob makes a living doing this. He's working with individualized athletes and small groups. But you as an athlete, you can't pick and choose. You either getting better or you got worse that day. So you got to go put the work in. You got to put the time in at the convenience. I don't care if it's Nana's birthday, if it's your anniversary. We don't give a shit of your birthday. I don't care.
Yeah.
Come work out and then go celebrate afterwards.
That's what I'm
It
talking
just
about.
it blows my mind the excuses that we would hear. You know, how many Nanas can pass away in a lifetime? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, get your ass to practice. Get to work.
For real.
It's just and it's hard. It's hard on the parents.
Yeah.
But if you want to win a championship, you got to have great parents. You can't win championships with parents that aren't getting the job done and letting the kids stay home. Or what's even worse is when they make the excuses and lie for the kids, because
Yeah.
you can't overcome that. And listen, do we have all the answers? Are we perfect coaches? No, but I promise you, we're soldiers. We're going to show up every day. We're going to give you our best, and we're going to try to make your kid a functional human being. When he leaves there, he's going to have work ethic. He's going to know about being on time. He's going to put work in when he gets there. He's going to follow directions, and we just say it with some passion. You know what I mean? You go work at McDonald's, they might not cuss at you, but you know what? They'll fire you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we really try to set a standard for our kids, and you know, I'm super. I got a couple more years left in the tank, and I'm hoping to OJ and my little Ramster guys that are OJ Flores and his boys, and those guys are those are the guys that won the first state championship for us, and all their boys are that 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and they're coming up. I'm like, you guys, I'll be the figurehead, and I'll hang out, and you guys can take over. And so in the next couple of years, I'm hoping those guys can hurry up and get here. And but we'll keep passing the knowledge, and you know, working with guys like Bob, it reinvigorates me. And I had those guys come out and do some speed stuff. I was like, hey, I like that. I'm stealing that. And then I pulled him to the side and said, hey, you might want to say this. You know, I give him a little bit. I get a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's all good because he's family. You know what I mean? He did a great job for us. And I worked with his dad for many, many years, and his Theo for many, many years. And so it's really good to see him being successful and doing his thing. And I love sending our kids over there because I know what they're going to get out of it. You know, and we appreciate what he does for football and for kids in general.
I'd say for off season and whatnot, like what Coach said, the parents need to sacrifice and commit. That's if you want your kid to excel. I mean, competitive sports is no longer played during the season. You have to do something in the off season because times are different. And you go up the street to Phoenix, those parents are all in. You know, you go to California, it's even more. So the parents have to buy it. It's just not like, hey, I'm gonna only do football during this.
It's not a part-time.
Yeah, it's not part time.
Not a part-time gig.
And football is not a thing where you can turn on and off. I mean, you gotta kind of be a little crazy and kind of be obsessed. Well, you have to be obsessed with it if you want to succeed.
It'll expose
So,
your work
Where the
ethic.
kids at right now?
And Jet.
And Jet right now.
Yeah. Everybody accounted for?
Yeah, you know, and my bosses have threatened me tremendously, so I don't like getting fired, and I've never been fired, so I'm not going to get fired.
Yeah.
So I'm listening, you know what I mean? I go fishing and send my guys to Bob. But our kids are putting in work. I get text messages, Coach, I did this. Coach, I got this much. I ran this today.
Yeah.
And I know what they're doing, and I know because character reveals itself real quickly. I know who's trying to sneak out, and I know who's putting in work. There's no, you know. So, like, I've had to make a couple of calls, but for the most part, I feel really good about what's going on. I love, you know, we have some really good parents. David's been a great parent, Booster Club president, and I got some moms that I call, and stuff gets done, you know what I mean? And the boys are being held accountable.
That's good.
And the back and forth is the relationships are good, the lines are open. I don't pull no punches. I tell them straight, and I'm just upfront and honest with them. And this is what we want. This is what we expect. Here's the playbook. This is what we want you to do. I put the workout online. If they're not doing mine, they should be at Jet doing it with Bob. And those things allow kids to have a chance. Because winning's tough. It's really hard. You know what I mean? And if you have any holes or cracks in your game or your preparation, you're going to get exposed by the good coach or the good player. And so you can't have holes, you know. And so I feel strong about our staff being our second year together. I had a rookie defensive coordinator last year. He came from Pima. He's a great player at Bueno. Went and played college ball at Pima, and then at South Dakota State. He's back coaching now, and he did a great job for us. Mason's our O-line coach. Pat Medina's back coaching with us. Marcus did a wonderful job with our skill kids. A former Pop Warner coach who came to me, in 2013 or 14.
He was with the Raiders.
2013 or 14, he said, Coach, I want to coach high school football. What do I got to do? I said, come be around it, come see it, and be willing to take a freshman job. And he did. And then he has built himself up, his knowledge. He was just Marcus was a raw guy that really, he knows football. He played really good football at a high level at Tucson High, played some college football at Eastern Arizona. Gets his message across. He has great relationships with the kids. I always thought he was a great hire, and it sucked when I left and I went to Pima. As soon as I came back, I called him almost immediately. He's one of the first dudes I called because I knew he was a hot commodity. He had coached at Walden Grove. He coached at Flowing Wells. And so I was like, I got to get him back because he just does a great job. And we were really fortunate this year. We got his dad to come on board.
Coach Reed.
Coach Reed.
Tony, where you at?
We're excited. We're
That's
excited.
a great pickup.
That's some of the comments right here.
Yeah, Tony Reed's up there. He's up there on the top.
He's a great pickup. And one Marcus, you can ask this guy. You can ask Coach Marcus, hey, can you come out here and work with my DBs? And they got 2 left feet. And he goes and he goes out there and helps them out. Good hour, 2 or whatever you need, and he always drops by.
He's a heck of a soldier. And
great.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to have him coach freshman and varsity this year.
Yeah.
He's going to work double. So because of his relationship with his dad, they work together so well. So I'm going to put them together, and then what he learned with us in the varsity, it's going to help transition it to the freshman program. So we're all on the same page, and our kids are working the same program throughout to help develop our program and speed up the process of getting back to where we want to get to. And Marcus was willing to tackle that job, and I'm too fat and old to do 2 jobs. So God bless the young guys. You know what I mean?
There you go.
But we always want guys to coach. We always want our old guys to give back, but go get an education, get a career. I just heard from my old quarterback, Christian Orpesa. He's now an engineer that works for Raytheon. He's pissed because we didn't have the spring old fart game. We bring the old guys back and we play the new guys who was coming up, the 7-on-7 game. It's been a great tradition at Sunnyside. We've played it every year, and because of the pandemic, we haven't. He was mad today. We're texting back and forth, and I'm like, well, as soon as they clear us, hopefully on July 1st.
And speaking of developing programs, I just want to give a quick shout out to Miguel Rivas out in Sierra Vista. They got the Sierra Vista Wolverines program who just joined AYF. They're going to be playing their first season this year in 2020. And yes, TYF, we will have a season this year. It was just announced by our president, Julius Holt. Sent a message out to everybody. We will have a season. There will be some protocols that we need to follow and follow them. Follow them. Don't try to take shortcuts or else we won't have a season. So be smart. You guys out there in Sierra Vista, you guys watching, tuning in today, thank you for tuning in. Hey, get into this Wolverines program, the Sierra Vista Wolverines program. Okay? It's going to be good for your kids, for your boys and your girls. They're going to come out into a program that has plenty of teams, guaranteed games. There's no forfeits, nothing like that. And you know what? If you're worried about driving to Tucson for every game, don't worry about it. The Tucson Raiders, I'll give you our word right now, we will ask to be scheduled in Sierra Vista. We will take our whole organization to Sierra Vista to play in Sierra Vista, and I'm sure other organizations will follow. So we're excited as the Tucson Raiders to be able to go out there and play a game up in Sierra Vista. Miguel Rivas, keep your head up. You're doing a good job, and we'll see you soon, buddy. We'll get some things together. You count on the Tucson Raiders to be there with you guys. And also shout out to all the Tucson Raiders teams, from the flag teams all the way up through 13U. The time has come. You know, we need to do what we got to do the right way, follow protocols, and lead the way. So, you know, we're excited. We're excited to get going. These guys put us in the right spot, in the right place this off season, and we're excited to put these kids up to the next level and get them going. Hopefully, we get some big time games and stop playing in Phoenix, because our teams down here in Tucson, especially on the south side of Tucson, they're gonna go undefeated and make sure the playoff games are here.
Let's go Southside.
You ain't trying to go to Phoenix no more. You can bring them down here. Phoenix people, if you're watching this, you come down here. You come down here. We're waiting for you. Youth football and high school football. We're waiting. So let's get that going. Other than that, you have any other questions?
I have so much. I just want to keep going.
This is great conversation. This is great.
I'm like,
football.
are we done?
Yeah, you know.
The end of it.
But
I'd like to make one more
Yeah.
announcement.
Yeah.
Sunnyside got chosen JV Sports Show up in Phoenix. Selected us as one of the games of the week.
Oh, yeah.
So this season, our week 2 game against South Mountain, we will be playing on Saturday night. Football. It'll be televised. So what they do is when they do the game of the week, they literally do the featured game of the week. So they have the radio show, they have their Facebook show, they do all their stuff. So they feature your kids, the staff, the school. So it'll be us against South Mountain, which is Byron Evans is now the head coach, who was David Adams' teammate in college at the U of A.
The U of A, yeah.
And so their back and forth has been going great. So I'm glad that Byron's into high school coaching now. He played in the NFL for 10 plus years with the Eagles, and you know he's from South Mountain High School, and he was a superstar in himself. And that school has put out more professional football players than all the other schools in Arizona. So, and he's been one of the best ever. So he's now their head coach. So we're looking forward to that challenge of playing those guys, and I'm super excited to have that opportunity to host that game on Saturday night. It's at Sunnyside. So that'd be really
it's
cool.
going to be here in Tucson.
It's a Tucson game, yeah.
Hey, you know what? I think we should have a youth football night, Coach.
I think we
should
should
have
too.
a youth football night, and get every youth football team
You
out
wear
there.
a jersey, you get in free.
Every youth football
We
team
can make
out
that
there.
happen.
Us as youth football, we talked about this last show. You know, youth football needs to help out our high school football. We need to pack these stadiums. We need to pack them up. If we want the high schools to work with us, we have to work with them.
I want turf at the Sunnyside High School by next year.
Write a big check.
That's because he's a groundskeeper and he's tired of cutting the grass.
He works for the city.
He works for the city. But yeah, we got to help each other out. We got to go.
No, that's a
You know,
great idea.
a lot of times, people are out there just what are you gonna do for me? What are you gonna do for me? What are you gonna do for me? And you know what? Like you said, Bobby does this for a living. But you know what? Bobby and his crew have came to my boys when they needed it. Regardless, if they couldn't pay, whatever, Bobby and them have never, ever turned one of my kids down. He has never turned the Tucson Raiders kids down, nor has any of his guys there. So I want to honestly thank him for that. That shows true love for his guys out here, for the youth of the football. And we need more people like that. We need more people like that. We got to stop always asking, give me. We got to give back. Okay? So that's the message I'm gonna leave you guys with today. Is lead by example. And I think we're good.
Yeah, thank you everybody
good.
for coming in here and watching this show right here. We want to thank you guys, man. Come here.
Thank
Mark,
you, sir.
come here.
Appreciate
Come
it.
here.
Come over here, buddy.
Marcus said he missed it. Marcus is late, Coach. So he got a couple laps. But we wanna wish you guys a great season this year, and we'll be there to support your high school at Sunnyside High School, and we're gonna try and support as many high schools as we can out here, and not make it about these guys. No, we're gonna make it about a whole family, and make it a Tucson thing. South, a lot of Southside kids. That's where we're from, and we're gonna come and we're gonna make sure that our teams down here are solid. We're not leaving anywhere else. We're staying home, making it great.
Yep.
Making it great all day long.
That's what I care about the most. I want all these Southside athletes to be accounted for and looked after and mentored. And these guys right here are the guys that are going to help do that. You know what I mean? We grew up right here. Where are we at right now? In the neighborhood right here.
Yeah.
On like backyard, Sunnyside right here. You know what I mean?
And that goes for everybody, coaches. East side
Yeah.
teams, make Saguaro great. Make all these teams stay there. Make them strong. Make them strong. North side teams, Marana out there. Make your teams great. You know, strengthen your neighborhood. That only makes it for great football. That brings it back to the days when, you know, in the 80s, the 90s, to where, oh hell, the Raiders are playing the Rams.
Yeah.
Well, damn, it's gonna be a rough day. And that's where it went. But these guys went to Raiders went to Tucson High. Rams went to Sunnyside. That's the way it worked. And, you know, I mean, a lot of people don't know the Raiders' home field was Rincon. You know, and went to Tucson High back when they had grass, and then they just got the turf. Now we're at Desert View right now. You know, we got the Rams right across the street. That's Sunnyside. Then that just brings it back. And we're keeping it here, and we're gonna do our best as coaches, as parents, to make sure that high school football gets back to where it needs to be in Tucson.
Let's keep going with that.
Yeah.
We're gonna exit out of this right here. We wanna have everybody go visit Jet Fitness over here, his website, his YouTube page, and we're gonna actually watch one of his. There you go.
Yeah. We want Underestimated Sports. We want
you.
to thank you for the shirts. We're getting to our guests right here. Martin, I got yours right now, so we'll get that. There's for Bob right there.
Appreciate it.
We want to thank Underestimated with Izzy over there with the shirts. There you go, Coach.
Thank you.
We want to thank you guys.
Thanks,
And,
Coach, for bringing us me the hat.
yeah, if you guys need uniforms or anything out there, youth football, high schools, get with Izzy at Underestimated City. He'll get you squared away and get going. Jet Sports, be at 1110 East Pennsylvania Street, Suite 404. Here's a phone number for Jet Sports, 520-954-4332. Get your boys ready, get your girls ready, even for cheer, for soccer, for softball, baseball, even the girls for football. Get them ready right there.
We're gonna do a little video right here. This right here is Jet Sports Fitness right here. This is a dope video right here. Check this out, guys.
Yes, this is Jet Sports Training.
It's the real deal right
At
here.
Jet Sports Training, we cultivate champions. With my experience in life and sports, I understand what it takes to be a champion. What does it take to be a champion? Discipline, sacrifice, consistency, and effort. I've been coached by the best from around the world. I now apply those lessons on a daily basis here at Jet Sports Training. I've competed in a wide range of sports, such as baseball, college football, combat sports, and professional football. At Jet Sports Training, we train youth to professional athletes, adults with training, and personal training. Whether you're a 9-to-5er or an elite athlete, the coaches here at Jet Sports Training will cultivate you into a champion.
That's dope. I like that.
So tune in next week. Tune in next week. We'll have Tucson High School out here, along with Izzy from Underestimated City. He'll be coming on. They'll be on the show next Saturday. We might push it to Friday due to being a Father's Day weekend. We'll see. We'll keep you guys posted on that. So
Cool. We're gonna leave you with some outro music. This is Coach
Alright.
Blends and music from back in the day right here. It's from Metallica.
Hey, we need to keep playing this. We need to keep playing it.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. I hope you guys are getting a real good job, man. Appreciate it.
Really good job.
Cheers.
Cheers.